Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 10 of the Steam Machine podcast. My name is Dalton, and joining me, as always, is my good buddy.
This is Ryan.
And this week, we played one of my childhood favorites, one of Ryan's childhood favorites. We played Final Fantasy VIII. But before we get to that, there's a few things that I would like to bring up first. First and foremost, I'm trying to think of what I want to bring up first.
Start with the Sims story.
You want me to? Okay. Okay, so we're going to start out with a ridiculous Sims story. Now, most of you have noticed if you download the episodes that it says explicit, and I'm going to take advantage of that right now. So, I play The Sims 4, and I have a lot of mods on The Sims 4.
Do you have the sex and drugs mods going?
Yes, I do.
Of course
yes,
you do.
Of course. Yeah, you know me. Come on. So, I go to this guy's house. He invited me over to hang out. So I go over there, and it's him and his wife, and I let my sim. My sim was like watching TV with them, and they were all talking. So I turned around, started packing a bowl, just chilling. Turned back around to see my sim is fucking the dude in the bathroom.
Oh.
So I'm like, all right then. So I'm like, I'm just gonna let this play out because what the fuck is going on? So I just kicked back, got my bowl and everything, and I'm watching. So the chick walks in, catches us, and starts freaking out and getting really mad, right? So it stops. They go into the living room. The husband and the wife start arguing. The husband sits down at the table. The wife comes walking over to my dude, and it pops up. I don't remember her name. We'll call her Jane. Jane has initiated sex with Niall, which is my character. So I was like, what the fuck? So they walk over to the table, and my character bends her over the table with her face right in her husband's face, and they just start going at it on the table. And the husband's just like freaking out and crying, just sitting there watching this happen. While this is happening, Child Services comes and takes their kid because they have been neglecting it for the past 8 hours because they've been fighting about me. And then I leave, and that guy calls me and tells me that he never wants to see me again, yada, 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 right? So then this chick who's in my neighborhood, who is a drug dealer, comes over to my house and is hanging out and asks me if she can have a clientele over. I'm like, sure. So that guy comes over and buys Coke from her and then leaves. And I'm like, oh, Jesus. So now he's going to develop a drug problem because his kid got taken away and all this. I was like, what the fuck? This is fucking terrible.
These mods sound awful. Way to ruin a wholesome game like The Sims. Really.
I only got the mod because you can grow bud and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just it includes all this other stuff.
Awful.
It was hilarious.
Way to ruin a good thing. Whoever made that mod. Fuck you.
There's a gang mod too, and I haven't looked into that one.
No.
But apparently it'll put gangs around town and stuff. Jesus Christ. There's so many mods for The Sims.
Yeah.
A lot of the mods that I have are clothing mods. Like I have video game shirts. Like my guy walks around in a Final Fantasy shirt.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet. And then when he goes to sleep, he wears a Skyrim shirt. Yeah. It's pretty cool. Speaking of, so that's my Sims story, and I might have this like continuing thing where I just have stories from The Sims because I like to play that in my free time when I'm not playing the game of the week.
Yeah.
But speaking of Skyrim, it was apparently leaked that I think it was Amazon Australia showed that they have a case and listing for Skyrim for PS5, and people don't know how to feel about that. Personally, I mean, I knew it was coming. It's a popular game.
I mean, it's like GTA 5 all over again.
Yeah. Both those companies, they've been milking these games forever.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, Skyrim's really good, and if they graphically upgrade it again and hopefully maybe add in some more stuff, then I could see people getting it again. But you know, the fact that I have it on PC, I don't need to buy it again.
Yeah.
But you know, people who are playing it on PS4 and they want those PC level graphics without having to get a PC, but they want to stick with consoles. Well, when this new console generation comes out, they're going to have that perfect opportunity, and I assume they're going to want to play Skyrim. So, but you know, like we were talking about it beforehand, and you had mentioned, you know, it's a long time off
Yeah,
Elder Scrolls
yeah,
6.
we're still years out, like five
So,
years out probably at the minimum. Like, and with the newer technology available for the newer consoles and stuff, six is probably going to be a massive game. Like,
oh yeah,
as
absolutely.
far as like map size and quest lines and everything, they're gonna go all out with it because that's kind of like what they do with their games. It's some maps are bigger than others in other titles, but as far as like gameplay, like Skyrim, there's so much shit to do in Skyrim. You have to put hundreds of hours into it. Like,
Oh yeah, and I willingly do all the time. Anytime I dive back into the game, it's at least 200 hours. Just going around and doing all kinds of shit. Never beat it.
yeah,
I've done a lot of the side quests and stuff, but I've never done the whole kill party snacks,
yeah,
as the internet calls them, party snacks. Even though like I don't understand why they call them that. It's really easy to say Parthenax, but
yeah,
the internet weird.
yeah, for sure.
The
So,
the only other little bit of news that I saw was that Persona 4 Golden had 500,000 players at once on Steam, which is pretty impressive.
yeah,
And No Man's Sky just released a new update for, I think it was called Desolation.
yeah, I'm gonna have to throw that in and update all that again. I want to try this, the haunted space vessels.
So I downloaded the update, but haven't loaded it up yet. I was actually going to do that later tonight. And basically, from what I gather, it puts abandoned like giant ships and freighters and stuff into space that you can find.
Yeah.
And when you enter them, they are like procedurally generated corridors and stuff that have stories behind them about the only crew that's on the only thing left of the crew are like these logs and notes and stuff that they've left behind, and you have to deal with creatures and stuff that are in there. Somebody said it's got a real like Alien Isolation type vibe to it.
Oh, Alien Isolation was so good too. Like,
So I'm pretty stoked about that because No Man's
I
Sky's already.
wonder if you like completely clear a vessel, if you can take control of it. Like,
I don't know if that would be pretty sweet, but I don't know if you'd be able to do that because it's procedurally generated on the inside.
that's true. That's true.
But that would be pretty fucking cool. If
Yeah.
you found an old one and you could like fix it up and stuff, that would be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
But I will. I'll have more on that next week because I'm going to dive into it at some point.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that update more. But that brings us to our game of the week. Actually, probably the game of the 2 weeks. I don't see it taking longer than 2 weeks.
No, I mean I think I'm maybe a quarter of the way through disc two, but it's it's going a lot faster than I remembered. Like if I actually sit down and devote some time to actually playing the game, I probably fly through it in a couple days. Like,
So, yeah, if I'm from what I'm looking at, I am about 2 or 3 missions away from beating quote unquote disc 2 of the
yeah.
game.
So I'm not far behind you, but it's still a little bit. Like,
Yeah, but that's why I pretty much spent yesterday playing The Sims. That way I could give you some time to catch up. I didn't want to get super far ahead of you
yeah.
before we got to talk about it and
Yeah.
everything. So
But it's
anyway,
even if you are far ahead of me, it's not like this is a game I've played dozens of times all the way through. It's
that's true. That's
yeah.
true. Well, let's get the obligatory reading from Wikipedia out of the way. Final Fantasy VIII is a role-playing game developed and published by Square for the PlayStation console, released in 1999, and it was the 8th main installment in the Final Fantasy series. I don't know if calling it Final Fantasy VIII gave that away, but they wanted you to know that anyway. Set on an unnamed fantasy world with science fiction elements, the game follows a group of young mercenaries led by Squall Lionheart, who is the best Final Fantasy character. I don't want to care what anybody says. As they are drawn into conflict sparked by Ultra, who wishes to compress time. During the quest to defeat Ultimacia, Squall struggles with his role as leader and develops a romance with one of his comrades, Renoa Hartilli. Development of this game began in 1997 and during the English localization of Final Fantasy VII. The game builds on the visuals brought by the series of Final Fantasy VII, including the use of 3D graphics and pre-rendered backgrounds, which also departing from many Final Fantasy traditions. It is the first Final Fantasy to use realistically proportioned characters consistently. and features a vocal piece as its theme music, and to forego the use of magic points for spellcasting.
Yeah.
So, you played this game a long time ago. I played this game a long time ago. What was your first like experience with it?
Oh, it was probably one of the first games that I had like bought myself for the PS1. Or no, yeah, PS1, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
PlayStation 1.
Damn, I feel old. I feel old as shit. But God, I used to spend so many hours on this game. So many hours on this game. And being a youngin, picking it up when it first dropped and whatever, it was a bitch to get used to, especially that junctioning system.
Oh
Like,
yeah, oh yeah.
yeah.
My first playthrough of this game, I did not understand the junction system at all.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I can destroy it because
Yeah,
I know it so well.
yeah, know it so well after reading walkthroughs and guides dozens and dozens of times. Every time I went back to replay the game just to like maximize the effort or try to play it in different scenarios, like different
Dude,
builds. Like, it was
I used to have the official walkthrough, like the official strategy guide. You know,
yeah,
I've looked and looked and looked and looked for it. Cannot find that motherfucker anywhere.
yeah,
It is somewhere in this house though. It's
yeah.
probably in my garage in a box, but
It-
I have it somewhere because I wanted to be OG with it. I'm like, I don't want to read
yeah.
game facts.
I want to. I want to sit there with the bug. I want to sit there with the bug.
Yeah,
I think
I want pictures.
one of the things that captivated me about this game when it first came out, and as a young lad playing this game, was the animation of the cutscenes compared to the art styles of all the other games out at that time. Like,
Oh man, they
the
were phenomenal.
yeah
That
the
opening scene is fantastic.
yeah the cutscene animations were just so far ahead of what everything else was doing at that time. It was unreal.
Yeah, and see, my first experience with this game was that my brother had given it to my father because he thought Dad would really like it, and my dad was more into like Crash Bandicoot, Tomb Raider, those
Yeah.
types of games. You know what I mean? So one of my best friends back in the day was really into Final Fantasy VII. So when I saw that I had Final Fantasy VIII, I was like, oh well, fuck it, I'll give it a shot. Fell in love with it, and
Yeah.
it's been my favorite game forever. Like Persona 5, I'd probably tie it with Final Fantasy VIII at my top spot. Um, but as far as older games, Final Fantasy VIII tops any of them for me, and I think it's just because it was the first game that I got totally entranced in the story.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
totally sucked in.
I played 7 before 8, and 7 is great in its own right. Seven is one of those games that was like an instant classic and
Absolutely.
huge following, even still to this day with them doing the remake and everything like that. But 8 just. There were so many different elements to 8, including the storyline, some of the character developments, even the weapons. I like the gunblades. I'm all for it. If you put a gunblade in every single game, I'm down for it. Like,
Oh fuck yeah, fuck yeah. In fact, I just started checking out. I think it's Guild Wars 2. It's a free to play MMO, and one of my weapons is a gunblade. And I was like, oh yeah, thank you. I'll just be using that all the time.
yeah,
I know few years ago, we obviously to tell everyone we played the remastered version of Final Fantasy VIII this week, and I remember when that got announced, I was sitting there and I was watching the Square Enix little, like, I don't know what to call it. It was like an E3 presentation, but not at E3.
yeah,
I think it was for one of the Sony things. So it just popped up and said, you know, fans have been asking for this for a long time, and then it was nothing. It was just that on the screen, and I heard that, Chess, and I was like, no fucking way. I'm getting goosebumps right now. Like, dude, I immediately was like, oh my god. And I heard Eric from Factory Sealed scream from Phoenix, Arizona, because he was as happy as I was.
I was super stoked that they announced the remastered, but I really want to see them give 8 the remake treatment that they're giving 7.
Oh, absolutely.
Because there's so much more you could do, I think, with 8, especially with the scenes including Laguna and going back in time, like the time warps and stuff. Like, you could play, like how they're doing disc 1 for the Final Fantasy VII remake is all Midgard. Like, you could do an entire disc just playing as Laguna. Like,
Yeah, that's true. Like release part one and do the Squall thing and have it end where they all have that. It's be like a weird cliffhanger for people who have never played it before, and then you start the next game, and it would almost be like Metal Gear 2 when you start and it shows Snake, but then like once you're done with that part, you play as Raiden the rest of the game.
Yeah.
You know, so it could be like where you start off in part 2 of 8 and maybe play as Squall and them for a little bit, and then they fall into the dream world, and then most of that game is handling Laguna's stuff. That would be
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah. Like,
Um,
with the whole time element to the Final Fantasy VIII storyline, they could really go in depth with some of the things they do, especially with like the dream sequences and everything like that. Like, I enjoy the remaster. I'm glad they decided to remaster it, but give us the remake. Like, give us longer gameplay.
I will tell you my qualm that I had with the remaster, and it was I had Final Fantasy VIII, the original one, on my PC,
Yeah.
and I had modded it. I had paid, I think it was like $3 to download. I think it was called the Lunatic Pandora Mod Pack, and it came with a bunch of upscales and stuff. So I had modded the game to look better, and then the remaster comes out, and I bought it for Switch. Um, Actually, I think I bought it to play up there when I come to visit you.
Yeah.
And I loaded it up, and I'm like, all right, so there's some cheats, that's cool, but it looks the exact same as it looked of my modded version.
Yeah.
So I had just paid $20 for something I'd already had, but it's because Square had just lost the files for 8 and 9. Like,
Yeah.
they don't know what the fuck happened to them. So they had to use the PC port of the game and the information and files from that to remaster the game at all.
Yeah.
And basically they just I think they just did what modders had done already and then just released it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's fine. It gave it more access to more people. But
Yeah.
yeah, kind of made me a little butthurt, but I played it anyway.
Yeah. So now that we're at a remaster of 8, the remake of 7, when are they going to do something with 9?
It's a good question.
Because I enjoyed 9. I know a lot of people shit on 9, but I really liked 9.
I like 9, but I've never been able to make myself get past further than like disc 2.
Yeah.
Though I believe I have it on our list. I could be wrong. If not, I need to add it because that's a game I would like to make myself play through and beat because I've heard nothing but good about it.
I love 9. Like, some of the characters in that, like Vivi, was just fucking awesome. Like,
Oh, Vivi is the shit.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite characters
yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
There were a couple times in that game where things were happening with Vivi that it like emotionally tugged at my heart.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, they definitely wrote him well. So that we already touched on it a little bit, but the opening cutscene of 8 is just fucking fantastic. You know,
Yeah.
it plays and it shows Renoa and a big field, and there's all these different scenes that are showing that are basically giving foreshadowing of things that's going to happen throughout the game. And then it comes to a fight between Squall and
Cypher. And it's not a fight, they're just training. Ugh.
Okay, yeah, training, quote unquote, because they are fucking looks like they're trying to kill each other.
Yeah, you know Cypher's trying to kill him, and Squall's just like, fuck you, I'm Squall. Like, I'm the most moody, angsty teenager ever created. Like, if emo was not a thing before this game came out, he started it. Like,
Oh yeah, it's because his catchphrase is like, whatever.
it's not even that. It's just like the ellipses. Like, just sit there stoically silent. Like,
Look down at the floor and say nothing.
yeah, that's pretty much my response to everyone as Squall in the game. It's just, don't talk to me. I'm gonna be moody. I'm gonna be angsty. I just want to go listen. You don't understand me, Mom. This is who I am. It's not just a phase.
So Cypher puts a big old slash across Squall's face, which is then there the rest of the game as a scar, and it kind of feathers and takes the screen, and it pops up Final Fantasy VIII, and then you're in the infirmary, and Dr. Kadawaki?
Yeah,
I think
something like
it's
that.
Kadawaki. Man, that's hard to say. Dr. K Dr. K comes in and she's like, "Are you all right? Can you tell me your name?" And he's like, "Yeah." So that's when you get the chance to change it if you want.
You
But
get two options. You can either say nothing, or you could say my forehead hurts.
yeah, yeah. And I think I went with say nothing.
I think I went with my forehead hurts, and she's just like, well, no, duh.
So, yeah, I bet. Um, so as you're kind of laying there, she says she's gonna go get Quistis, and
Quistis. I love
she needs.
Quistis.
Oh, me too. Me too. That's a bad bitch. So you see this girl kind of lean in the window, and she's like, "Oh, Squall, it's been a long time," but it's not revealed who she is yet. And she goes walking off, and then it goes to a cutscene with Quistis coming and walking in. She looks at you, shakes her head, and is like, "You and Cypher need to stop fucking trying to kill each other," basically. Basically. And
Yeah.
y'all go walking and everything. You end up going to class, and this is where, if you're smart about it, or I shouldn't say if you're smart about it. If you've played the game before, you know to just immediately go into the computer and get Shiva and Quetzalcoatl.
Yeah, I usually just skip that because they give you those right at the gate, like as you're going to the fire cavern. But you
Yeah.
can jumping on the computer if you've never picked it up before also gives you like a basic tutorial of how to do things, what commands are what, where like on the menu you need to go for certain things like that. But this being like my 60th playthrough, I ignore it because I know I get them. I know I get them. I think one of the first things I do is I run around the garden because there's a couple different spots that you can get. Like if you go into the library early on, you can get a Occult Fan Volume 1.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah, I
couple.
think there's a draw point in there too.
Yeah, there's a couple other draw points. I think there's one in the cafeteria. No, that's later in the game. Um, but I hit up the training room pretty early too.
Yeah, it's always
Just
good to go in there.
yeah,
And get a
just
couple of levels.
get a couple levels.
But there are some people who swear that you should level up as little as possible in this game because the way the enemies scale with you. But like, I like to level up because it gives me more of a challenge at the end of the game. As opposed to
Yeah, yeah, and then like this being so many playthroughs before, once you get used to that junction system and know how to build your characters for like maximum strength or maximum magic power and shit like that, it doesn't really matter what level you are. You're gonna do some beefy damage, and especially if you really grind and level up your guardian force, your GF there, your
Yeah.
GF's gonna do some heavy fucking damage too. So even
Oh,
if you're having a problem with an enemy later stage in the game, your guardian force is gonna fuck them up. Like
my recommendation to people who are playing this for the first time is always once Quistis tells you that you need to go do your seed exam and you guys head out of town to head towards the fire cavern, don't go there yet.
no,
Run straight to the beach.
go to
and
the
go fight those
beach.
fucking fish things.
Go to the
'Cause they
beach.
give like 4 to 6 AP per battle, and
You
get
also
your
yeah
GF.
you also pick up some items from them, like the fish fins, which are essential for upgrading some weapons for some
Yeah,
other characters that you'll add to your party and shit like that. Like
yeah,
the beach is usually every guide I've ever read through, every walkthrough I've ever read through, everyone says hit the beach first. Like
yeah. Because it's good to go over there and go ahead and get like summon magic plus the 10% or whatever it is, the first one, and the GFHP
I
and maybe
I
like
yeah, I do them weird. Like the first things that I do with the APs is I hit them with boost first because
yeah,
boost only
boost.
yeah, boost is only cost 10 AP, and then I set Quetzalcoatl up to go card because card is awesome. The card mini
Yeah.
game, you can play the whole game without even touching the card mini game. It's just a fun mini game,
Oh yeah.
but you can refine cards into items and abilities and magic later on in the game. Right. So the cards are important, but
Speaking of the cards,
yeah.
oh, go ahead.
No, I'm good.
Okay, so speaking of the cards,
Yeah.
this is the first time in the game that I have done the side quest, the CC club. You know
Yeah.
what I'm talking about? The card club.
Yeah.
Have you been doing any of those?
No, not really. Like I've
So
ran into the Queen of Cards in a couple spots and have taken some cards from her, but Like I get so lost playing the card game that I'm just trying to actually focus on like the gameplay and the storyline of the game, because if I really dive into the card game, I'm the kind of guy who will spend hours trying to complete like the whole deck. Like,
Yeah. Well, okay, so I decided to check this out because I had never done it before, and I have some good cards. You know what I mean? So, um, because full disclosure, I used the cheat to give me all the cards
yeah,
because I've played this game a million times. So I'm like, I'm just gonna play this game the way I want this time.
yeah,
So I found you have to beat them in a certain order, and they all have card-related names. The first guy is Jack,
yeah,
and when you enter the scene where you have the directory and everything right there in Balam Garden,
yeah.
the two girls come walking up, and then there's a guy that comes walking up whenever you enter that space. If you wait till he stops walking, you go up and challenge him to a card game. That's Jack. You beat him, and then you walk around the corner a little bit, and you'll see a dude like kind of just walking around up there, and you challenge him, and he's like, "Yeah, my name's Club. I'll take you down or whatever." So then he's like, "Well, next you have to beat Diamond after you beat him." So then you go find Diamond, and Diamond is two players, and it's
Yeah.
the two girls that stand by the director. So you challenge them, you beat them. Spade, they send you to Spade, and Spade is the guy who gives you the cards at the very beginning of the game on the second floor.
Oh, the douchebag who says he doesn't play cards anymore.
Yeah, that's Spade, and he's like, "Oh," he goes, "I see you've taken up the game and gotten pretty good. Yeah, you can challenge me." So
What a
you beat
douche.
him. You beat him, and he sends you to go find Joker. And Joker is the guy in the training center. When you go into the training center, if you go to the right and you go into that area that's got like the wooden bridges
Yeah.
that go across, there's a guy standing there sometimes you can buy items from. That's Joker. And you beat him, and then you can't do any more for a while. And then later on, once you get Balam mobile, which we'll get to later, you have to fight Hart, who turns out to be, um, is it pronounced Zhu? XU? Zhu?
Yeah, something like that. I think it's
I think,
Zhu. Yeah.
Yeah, Zhu. You have to challenge her, and once you beat her, she has the carbuncle card. So like you want to play her over and over until you get her to play the carbuncle card and all that.
Yeah.
So then after that, she says, "Well, now you got to fight King, and King will reveal themselves to you
It's
after
Headmaster Sid.
after you've rested a while." That's what I thought. I thought it was going to be Sid, right? So I go back to I read a guide, and it said, just go back to your room and rest a few times, and King will show up.
Oh, wow.
So I rest, doesn't show up. I rest, doesn't show up. Rest, doesn't show up. On that fourth time, it pops up on the screen. I knew you'd make it to me eventually, and it comes up, and who's standing in the fucking room, Mr. Ryan? Quistis.
Oh, is it?
And I went, no shit, because I had never done this quest, and all the times I've played Final Fantasy, so I'm just like, no shit, it's fucking Quist. So you have to fight her, and she has the Gilgamesh card that you can get from her.
Yeah.
But once you beat her, basically there's no one left, and you complete that side quest, but then they all show up again on the Ragnarok. And the whole point of doing this quest is, if you're into the card games, that later, once you have the Ragnarok, they're all on the Ragnarok, and you can challenge them, and they have all the cards,
Yeah.
all minus like 2 or 3. So if you're missing cards, you can just play them until they play the cards you need, beat them, and take it.
Yeah.
So that's the whole point of that side quest. But I've had a lot of fun with it, because Triple Triad is fantastic.
Yeah.
I have it on my phone. Like, I play Triple Triad on my phone. In Final Fantasy 14, they have Triple Triad, and when I played that, I played Triple Triad all the time
Yeah.
in the gold saucer. So anyways, so the card ability, that's what we started with,
Yeah.
after all of that. The card ability is very valuable.
Yeah, it
Very,
is.
very valuable. You can't use it on bosses, but any monsters that you come across, if you get them weak enough, you can use cards.
Any monsters except for a select few. If there's like a cutscene involved with it, you're not going to be able to card them. Like I
Yeah,
think
more often than not.
Elveret is one of the first ones that you encounter that you can't card. And
Yeah, pretty
then
much
like
boss fight.
yeah, later the first fight with the fake president when he shifts form, can't card him.
But you will come across those cards eventually. Like
Yeah.
other people have those cards.
Yeah.
So, you know, one of the times that you play, you will end up seeing one of those, and if you win, then you can take it, which is nice.
Yeah.
I know the Triple Triad's got a whole bunch of fucking rules that I try to avoid some of them from spreading, which is a pain in the ass. But
Yeah.
got to do what you got to do. So, anyways, your first destination is the Fire Cavern. It is your seed test,
Yeah.
and you walk up, and they're like, "Are you prepared?" They're like, "Yep, here for duty," and they give you the choice of a time limit: 10
Yeah.
minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Which did you go with?
I went with 40 because again I roll around and build up that card and then start collecting bomb cards because they're pretty strong for early on in the game.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
But I know like if you've never played this game before or you only like casually played it, never really like dove into it to play through all the way, you can easily do it on the 10-minute scale.
Yeah.
And then I think the shorter amount of time you give yourself to complete it, it also affects what seed rank.
Yeah, you get more seed experience
Yeah.
based on how quick you do it. I
Yeah.
usually do it with 10 minutes on, and then I do the same thing as you, but I do it backwards because I put 10 minutes and then run straight to Ifrit,
And then take your time on the way back out.
beat him, and then once you beat him, the timer's over. And
Yeah.
then I get some cards and stuff on the way out.
Yeah. The reason why I set it to 40 is because I like getting those AP points to unlock a card if I haven't already done it down at the beach. But it also helps level up your GF that you currently have, the Shiva and the Quetzalcoatl. So the more leveling up they do, the stronger they get earlier in the game as well. Like, I think one of my playthroughs before, I had just spent so much time down at the beach unlocking a couple of the GF abilities for Shiva and Quetzalcoatl. There was like one time I one-hit Ifrit with Shiva. Like, he's like, they have Shiva? I'm so weak, I lost to a human. Fine, I'll join your party. Like,
Yeah, I love that he's always like, "Fuck, they have Shiva."
yeah, yeah.
It's awesome. So you beat him, you head back. You are now a seed.
Not yet.
Well, no,
You
sorry,
took
I'm
the
sorry.
entry. Yeah, you took the exam to
And now
qualify.
they're sending you to the field exam.
Yeah,
And you are put on a team. This is where you meet Zell
yeah.
for the
Zell.
first time. I love Zell. He's the man.
Zell's such a fucking idiot. Like,
Yes, he is, but he's a lovable.
I don't have a problem with Zell. He's a great character, but if I have the option, he's never in my party. Like, I just don't. I don't really see a use for him. Like, he's good on strength. He's good on strength, but his like magic qualities aren't really on par with what I go for. I usually like Squall is all strength for me, and then I'll have somebody like Quistis or Renoa be like my healers. And
It's
then,
funny. I'm like the exact opposite. I always have Zell in my party,
Yeah.
and it's because I've just ingrained in my brain that certain GFs go on certain people.
Yeah.
Because I've played this so many times. So I give Quetzalcoatl to Zell.
Yeah.
So Zell is my card guy. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
keep him in a lot, and then I usually swap out the other spot for either Quistis or Irvine later. Irvine.
Yeah. But for the most part, my playthrough is usually like Squall, Quistis, and Renoa. Maybe Selfie every now and then, but
Respectable.
yeah. I love Zell, but he doesn't do it for me. Like,
Well, you guys are tossed into a group with Cypher.
yeah, Cypher.
And
Fucking douche.
you guys have to go to I can't remember the name of the town right offhand.
I don't remember it either.
Hold on, I
Oh,
can
man.
It's not Timber, that's later.
No, yeah, Timber is later. Timber is like the third
Dalit.
or Dalit.
It's Dalit.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
So they send you to Dalit, and you have to basically investigate why there's Galabadian forces there, and a whole bunch of nonsense.
Yeah, our group orders are to clear out the town square, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah,
But,
so you guys run in. Cypher is all gung ho to go fuck some people up,
yeah, of course he is.
and you guys run in and clear it out, and then you get to chill with the dog, and everyone's bored, and they hear some commotion, and they look up and they see this giant radio tower, and Cypher's like, "There's something going on there." Or no, I'm sorry. You get to hide, and then all the soldiers
Yeah,
march.
yeah, like a small platoon marches by or whatever. First time I played it, I was like, cool, we're gonna fight like 6 people. Like everyone else has been easy at this point. It's the first challenge. No, they just march by. Cypher's like, we gotta follow them. But that's against the orders. It's like Zell's like, no, our orders are to stay here. What do you say, Squall? And Squall's like, whatever the captain orders. Like, so
Yeah,
Cypher's like, fuck yeah, let's go up there. It fucking
Cypher
just
calls
takes
Zell-
off.
Cypher
Like,
called Zell like a chicken wuss or something, and he's
yeah,
like, "The fuck you just call me?"
yeah,
Like, it's
yeah.
always funny because Zell like does that thing where like he flexes.
He
and
looks
just-
like he's having a seizure because he's just like and shaking with his fists clenched. Like,
he's trying to go Super Saiyan, just doesn't have it in him.
yeah,
Yeah, so you guys go running off, and I believe this is where you start going up the staircase, and you come across the
Yeah.
people kind of sitting there like fucked up.
yeah,
Warn you, like there's a monster, and of course Cypher's like, who gives a shit? So
Yeah.
you run up, you get into this battle with this giant ass snake, and this is the first like real key
the
that you hear that Cypher's
Anacondor. Yeah,
Yeah, the Anaconda, because Cypher's like, you get more experience for the last kill, so let me get it.
yeah. The last hit. If you get the kill hit, you gain the most experience. So let me get it. And I never attack with Cypher. But I always make him just draw or do something else. But everyone, Squall always gets the last hit up at this point in time in the game for me. Like,
Yeah, same here, because fuck Cypher.
yeah,
So you continue up a little further, and this is where like Cypher bails on you guys, and just like runs ahead,
no,
and he runs into the tower, and you can't see him anymore. So Squall and Zell are kind of sitting there like, what the fuck's going on? And then Selfie, who you had met previously at Balam, which real quick, did you choose to show her around? Or you told her to fuck up.
I showed her around.
Yeah,
I love Selfie. So
Me too. She's such a sweet little character.
she is.
So she comes running up and like trips and rolls down this hill and like looks up at you guys.
She literally drops in.
And
And she gives you that stupid little anime kawaii wink at the end. Like, she's like, "Oh, I just fell off the cliff." Ah. Like,
yeah, exactly. And she gives you guys the new order. Or she wants to give it to Cypher, but he's not there. They're like, she's like, "Where's the captain?" And then the door comes open and dudes come flying out and running out, and Cypher's like swiping at him.
Yeah.
Come on, fuckers.
Cypher, no
So-
swiping. Cypher, no swiping.
Oh fuck. So here's another tidbit. Do you jump down or do you run around?
I jump down, but I know if you run around, you can encounter some more people, and I think there's like a hidden draw spot somewhere around there too.
No draw spot, but if you run around, if you jump down, you lose seed experience,
Wow.
which I guess because it's taking an unnecessary risk or something. But
Yeah.
if you just run around, you get to keep that little bit of seed experience.
Yeah.
So I always just run around. Like it's just become a habit of mine.
Got you.
So you go up to the top of the tower, and you find Biggs and Wedge, and they're arguing with one another. And Wedge
Biggs
disappears
and
off somewhere.
Wedge. If they were ever to make this a movie, Jay and Silent Bob, Jason Mewes and Kevin Smith would have to be Biggs and Wedge. They would have to be Biggs and Wedge.
That would be fan-fucking-tastic. Fantastic. Or if those guys are getting too old these days, which, that is what it is, you could do like Seth Rogen and James Franco
Nah.
or something. It's got to be buddies. Any sort
Yeah.
of buddy. But I would totally prefer Jay and Silent Bob. My God, would I pop for that.
Yeah.
So I think Wedge fucks off and it's just Biggs.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you start fighting him, and then Wedge comes running in, and Biggs is like, "Where the fuck have you been?"
Yeah, Biggs repairs the comm tower because the Galbadian forces, for some reason, want at this point in time that you don't know about want to reactivate the comms tower that's been down. And they get that going. It's a cool cutscene. It's a cool
Oh,
cutscene.
absolutely. Again, back in the day, I was totally blown away by the animation.
Yeah.
Holy shit! And
Um,
so you fight them, and once you get their health down enough, um, they get blown away,
yeah.
literally, by a gust of wind, and then Elverite, I think is his name.
Elveret, yeah.
Elverite, yeah, it comes down, and you have to fight him.
Yeah.
Now, here is the first chance for you to miss a Guardian Force because you can draw Siren
Yeah.
from Elverette.
It's
And if you
first.
don't know that, you miss it.
Yeah, it's the first thing I always do.
Yep, same here. Same here. And get some magic from him if I don't already have, whatever.
Yeah.
But he's not a real hard fight. You take him down, and it might take 5 minutes if that.
It takes a
Or
little bit
depending
if
on-
you haven't been grinding
I was
before.
gonna say, yeah, if
Yeah.
depending on how long you've been playing. And you beat him, and Selfie's finally like, "Oh, Cypher, everyone's leaving at 10 o'clock."
You got 30 minutes.
And he's like, "What? Oh shit, we have 30 minutes to get down to the beach. See you fuckers later." Takes off on the elevator, and then you have to like wait for it to come back up. And it's
Yeah.
like, what a douchebag.
He's the biggest douchebag. It hasn't even like hit peak douchebag yet, right? But
So you guys get on the elevator, you head down, and as you're heading down, a cutscene plays where Biggs crawls over and he's like, "I'm not done with you fuckers yet," and he just like hits some button. And as you guys are running out
oh
of
yeah, the target.
building,
The target is those douchebags. Like, go kill the target.
yeah, this giant mechanical spider thing comes flying down from
Yeah.
the tower, and basically you have to just fight it until it falls and run away. Fight it until it falls and run away, all the way back to the beach.
Yeah.
Now I managed to kill it, so I didn't get that cool ass cutscene that you did.
Yeah, I've done it on a couple playthroughs, but usually I don't know what I do wrong at this point. Like, I usually never kill it. Like, I will spend like 25 minutes unloading on the thing within like the first two encounters of it before just giving up and running to the beach. But the cutscene's pretty cool. Like,
Yeah, I honestly I prefer the cutscene when you don't kill it. I think it's you get more seed experience if you
you
kill it.
you get the XP for leveling up, and you get a little more seed experience.
I think you get like 40 AP if you kill it,
Damn.
or something like yeah.
Yeah.
So there's some huge little boost there at the beginning.
Yeah, that's the
And-
fucking card if you haven't already started working on that with Quetzalcoatl yet. Like,
Yeah, it's definitely worth the time. But it's
what's
it's
the
fucking hard.
cut scene for beating it again? I don't remember that.
So when you destroy it, there is no real cutscene. Like you come back and you guys go running up to the boat and just hop in and go home,
Oh, that's it.
as opposed to the one you
you,
got.
you see it smash through the city, and then everyone jumps on the boat, and Squall's running across the beach, and it looks like it's about to get him. And it starts getting rained on by some bullets, and it's fucking Quistis there at a fucking turret just unloading on this thing.
Fuck yeah, dude. Her
She's
Gatling
like,
gun.
don't you touch him. That's my man. Because at this point, if you haven't noticed yet, Quistis is like absolutely in love with Squall. Like,
Oh yeah,
she's
totally.
100% in love with him to the point where once you get back to the garden and do the whole graduation ceremony, you one of the first things you have to do is meet her at the secret hiding spot in the training center,
Yeah,
where
now,
she's
hold
like, oh yeah,
on. Before you get to that, I just
Yeah.
want to bring up that you come back from the seed exam.
yeah.
Cypher takes the vehicle, takes off.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah,
leaves it.
yeah, you get back to the fucking dock, and he's just like, okay, see ya, fucking takes the car.
Yeah, him, Fujin, and Raijin just hop in and just leave, and you're just like, oh well, fuck. So you run back, and you have to go get changed, and you go to the ball. Now the meme about this game, which in the remastered version at least you can see Squall's face now,
Yeah,
but it was always a joke in the original PlayStation game that Renoa sees Squall and she's looking all pretty in her dress and everything, and she goes walking up to him and she's like, "Hey, you're the best looking guy here." And like in the PlayStation version, his face is just like mangled polygons,
yeah,
and that always just cracked me up.
yeah,
But that's your first introduction to Renoa, and she will come back. In
yeah.
a little. So
Yeah.
continue. So you meet Quistis after the ball.
Yeah, you meet Quistis after the ball, and she's like, "Guess what? It's after midnight. I'm no longer an instructor." Like hinting at you that, hey, we could get together.
We
Like,
could fuck.
yeah, and Squall's just like, I don't care. Stop talking to me. Like,
No, Squall is so disinterested. Like she's trying to be like,
he
I
just
don't know what to do with my life. And he's just
Squall
like,
hates everyone and everyone at this point in time. Like, he just wants to fight, and hopefully, he is hoping that he gets into a battle too strong for him and he actually dies. Like, Squall is the most emo, morbid person so far.
I have to say though, like I think that might be why he's my favorite of all time because growing up, I had such little tolerance for like stupidity and small talk that it just drives me. I'm a little better about it now,
Yeah,
but
he's
man,
very,
it drove me
very
crazy.
relatable to that, like, emo goth starting to get into the metal scene, like, just
Yeah, totally.
angsty, leave me alone. Like, yeah,
Like
that's
I feel like
Squall.
he would be wearing a Slayer T-shirt if he could
No, he
under
wouldn't.
his jacket.
He'd be
Or like,
wearing. Yeah, he'd be.
attack.
Yeah, he'd be super emo for sure. Like,
Okay, there you go. So what's to say he'll be rocking some like Dance Gavin Dance.
he works at Hot Topic, and
Probably has like a nose ring. They updated him. He's got some plugs. No, I think Zell would be the one with plugs since he's got like the face tattoo.
the Squall would have him too, but they'd be hiding under his like Bieber sweep hair that's like 4 different colors, and
Yeah, and then you got Zell with like his spiky pompadour mohawk thing. I don't even know what the hell is going
yeah, that
on.
pompadour is fucking fantastic.
So Quistis basically just is like, I'm C just like you now.
Yeah,
So I'm no longer. My last order. Oh no, I'm sorry. We already talked about that. Her last order was to meet her there.
yeah,
So after that, you wake up the next day, and they're just like, "Hey, you had your first mission. Welcome to being a seed." And you have to go up and see the Sid,
yeah.
headmaster, the headmaster, and which I want to say, it's cool that in almost every Final Fantasy game, there's a Sid and there's a Biggs and Wedge. Like,
Yeah.
I find that great. And did you know that Biggs and Wedge is a reference to Star Wars?
No, I did not.
Yeah. So apparently, there's a scene in one of the Star Wars, and I wish I knew which one it was. But two of the rebel pilots, their names are Biggs and Wedge.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
And I was
It's
like,
probably
oh,
it's probably if it's going to the original trilogy, it's probably
yeah, it is.
Empire. It's probably
Uh,
Empire.
Probably, because I think they're flying in a squad with Luke and all of that. So.
Well,
But,
that
anyway,
might be the end of episode 4. Then when they blow up the Death Star. I don't know. I'll have to go back and I'll probably throw them on tonight just to look for that Easter egg. Then.
Okay, so Headmaster Sid, this is the first time that you kind of see that the garden people who are in like these monk robes with like a Raiden hat on.
Yeah.
That's what I call it, a Raiden hat. I don't know actually what it's called.
They're stupid. It's
They're
after
kinda
hours. You can't go into the library. It's after hours. You can't go into the cafeteria. It's like bullshit. I'm fucking hungry. Like,
Please let me go get a hot dog.
yeah.
Every time I go there, they're out of hot dogs.
They're
I'm sure
always
they'll
out of
find
hot dogs. This is one of the first things he tells Selfie. It's like, this is the cafeteria. Always get there early for the hot dogs. Like,
So, I lost my train of thought. Oh, so Sid is
yeah.
going to give you guys a speech, and the garden guy's like, "Hey, you need to hurry it up a little bit." And Sid's like, "All right." So he just walks up and he whispers something to everyone's ear. Here's the.
Oh,
Here's
yeah,
the funny
that's the graduation ceremony.
Yeah, so Sid goes walking up to the kid who you haven't seen before because in there it's Zell, Squall, is it Selfie, and then one other person, I
Yeah.
think. And okay, so that one other person, you don't know their name yet. You learn it eventually, but he leans in and what he whispers in their ear is, do a good job even if you don't stand out in the crowd. Which is funny because later on, that's the pilot of the Balam Garden when you were flying the Balam Garden around, and when you meet him, the person's like, "Hey, Squall, how you doing?" And Squall's like, "Do I know you?" And the dude's like, "For real? We graduated the seed together."
I am surprised Squall just didn't, like, stare straight down at the ground. Fucking ellipses. It's like, Squall, Squall, I'm talking to you. Did somebody say something? Moody, angsty.
So you're given your first mission,
But that's cool.
and you guys are to head to Timber. And when you get there, you have to say, "But the owls are still around." That's
Yeah.
the code word. So that's what.
Before you get to Timber, there's one thing that is easily missable. Like, say, if you don't draw Siren from Elveret. When you're on your way to the gate to start your mission, you run into Sid again.
Oh, right.
Sid talks to you, and then depending on which way you go from here, if you finish talking to Sid and run back towards the garden, you completely miss out on him giving you an item. If you finish talking to him and then run towards the gate to continue with your mission, he stops you and he gives you an item, which is the magical lamp.
Yeah, and you can also, like, what I usually do is I'll talk to him and then just talk to him again, and he'll give it to you that way too.
Yeah. But I
That
know
magical lamp.
it's an easy miss, especially if you run back to the garden to like save or something. He won't give it to you.
Yeah,
But
would be
that
bug.
magical lamp contains another GF. And
Diablos.
Yeah, Diablos.
One of my favorite looking GFs in this entire game.
He's pretty awesome looking for sure.
I mean, he looks cool, but that like big ball of energy that he summons just looks sweet.
Yeah.
And then he slings it down at him. That's one of the first fights that's real tough.
He is real tough because he's one of those ones that you actually have to like pay attention to, like magic weaknesses and shit like that.
Yeah, because if you don't have blind like in your repertoire,
Yeah.
he is gonna hit you super fucking hard.
Yeah.
But if you blind him, then the fight's really not that
Yeah.
bad. As long as you can take that away. And you have
He's
potions.
one of the first ones too that really gets you to use draw to like experiment with other spells, because if you don't draw the spell Demi from him, you would never know that he's weak to Demi. Like you can either draw or cast it on him right from his pocket, and it hits him for brutal damage.
Yeah. Now Demi, the way Demi and the way that his spell that he does when you summon him works is it does a percentage damage.
Yeah.
So if they're low on health, Demi's not going to do a ton.
Yeah. No.
But if they're at full health and you hit them with Demi, it is going to do fucking loads of damage.
I think one of my most memorable playthroughs going against him is my entire party got wiped out except for Squall, and he got brought down to 1 HP, and then for some reason for like 5 straight minutes all Diablos did was hit Demi, and he couldn't reduce me down past 1 HP. Every time he hit it, it's just 0, it's just 0, just 0, and I'm like, fuck man, they're letting me just kill this guy with 1 HP.
Just spam Rin's the Kukin at that point.
Yeah, no, this is pretty much what I did. Like,
Yeah, but he's definitely worth getting because he has some really good junctions available.
yes, he does.
Some strength junctions. I always I get strength junction, I get the hit junction, I do his strength plus 20%, and then I go straight to Mug.
Yeah.
And I want Mug as soon as possible.
Yeah, Mug is
Because,
a good one. I like Doom too, but I don't think Doom is one of his.
yeah, I think he has Doom.
Does he?
I don't usually get that one, but he does have it. But Mug, I put it on Squall, so it's like every time I swing, I'm at least stealing one thing in a battle, you know?
Yeah.
So once you get to Timber, I believe it's Watts that meets you at the train station. And he's like, it's been so quiet around here, or whatever the hell he says. And you say, but there's still owls around.
Yeah.
And he's like, follow me, good sir.
Yeah, you have to give him the
One
stupid passcode. Like,
Yeah. And that's where you meet Watts and, what's the other guy's name?
Zone.
Zone. Yeah, Watts and Zone. And you go into the train and they're like, our leader's taking a nap. Can you go wake her up? And Squall's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. It's like, I don't run errands, you little bitch. And then someone's like, but my stomach.
I relate to that because if he has high anxiety, I get it. I get it with anxiety, stomach pains. But
It's
dude,
every
all the
time something comes up. It's just, my stomach. Oh.
So
Even to the
Squall's-
point where Renoa is just like, God damn it.
Squall's like, this is the last time I'm doing anything like this. So you go back there and you wake Renoa up. And she's super happy to see you. And she's like, oh, hey, you're the guy from the party.
Yeah.
You're the good-looking dude. And then she wants to know if Cypher's there. Like, no, Cypher's not a seed. And she's like, oh. And then she's kind of bummed out.
Yeah. Because
So
Cypher's the one who hooked her up with the meeting.
with Headmaster Sid.
Yeah, with Headmaster Sid.
Yeah. So she introduces you to her good boy, Angelo.
Angelo.
Very, very handsome dog. And
I always rename him because Angelo is a stupid name for a dog.
I left it Angelo this time, but I used to name him Rex after my old dog Rex.
I think this playthrough I named him Floofers.
Oh, that's a great name.
Angelo is a dumb name for a dog.
Floofer's Rush.
Yeah, Floofers Rush for sure.
That's fucking fantastic. So you go into, and they take you into this room and they show you this model where basically they tell you, all right, so we're kidnapping the president of Delling City. And they're like, right? And Squall's like, can I see the contract for this job? She's like, yeah, sure. So they all get into a little group, and she like pulls out this piece of paper and hands it to Squall. And Squall starts reading it, and he's like, "What the fuck does any of this mean?"
Yeah, what does any of this actually mean? It's like, hold on, I have another copy for dumb people. This one,
I didn't understand it, so he wrote me this one in more easy terms.
Yeah, and this one's like, you have this seed team, and only this seed team until you gain your independence.
Yeah, until you liberate Timber. And Squall's like, that's a bit vague.
Well, what does your independence mean? And does this mean that we can't go anywhere unless we die? Like, so we're stuck with you until we will help you gain your independence.
And full disclosure, Squall is a huge dick to Renoa throughout the first part of his game.
Yeah, Squall's a dick to everyone. Let's be real.
Yeah, but I mean, especially to Renoa, because there's like that scene where you can choose to just go the fuck off on her, which is coming up. It's so you guys head to Timber.
Yeah.
And you steal you're on the train, and you go through the whole thing. You're gonna have to run across the top, drop down, put in the codes.
It's a train heist, but instead of like breaking into the train to steal something, you're stealing a actual car.
Yeah,
like
taking the car, attaching it to another train. It's fucking brilliant. The way they did it was just flawless.
The real life mechanics to it are completely implausible. There's no way you're going to be able to like separate the two cars and then sneak in another car and hook the train back up so that nobody notices that the train's like different. And it's just, but the scene itself is cool. Like,
yeah, totally. I know avoiding the guards can be a bit of a pain in the dick, but once you get it down,
yeah.
Obviously, me and you have played it so many times that it's probably a breeze to us.
It's so simple, like, especially with the speed up 3 times feature on the remaster.
Yeah,
it's like this part takes me maybe a minute, like.
Yeah, I've gotten to the point now where it's like I'll turn off the 3 times speed when I'm doing that, but I can drop down and just do all the codes before the guards ever get there.
Yeah, same.
It's like I'm not even worried about it. I can see one coming out of the corner of my eye, and I'll finish the last code and hop up. And
yeah.
So you do that, and you guys go inside of the president's car, and so real quick, as you're doing this, there's this little like underlying thing where this guard keeps going in to check on the president, and the president's like, "Are you bothering me again?"
Yeah.
And the guard's like, "Oh, there goes this paycheck."
A higher-ranking Galbadian officer walks in. It's like, "How's things going?" It's like, "Damn it! There goes another paycheck." And then the thing that makes me laugh is the officer walks through the car and he exits through the door in the back, and then he comes back in real quick and he's like, "Is this the same fucking car? This looks shoddy." Like,
looks shabby.
Yeah. He knows that it's not the right car, but it doesn't click with him. Like,
so the higher ranking soldier looks at the guy and he's like, "Why are you bothering the president? Get back to work." And the guy's like, "Oh, there's 2 paychecks. There goes a ring, and now dinner. I'm never gonna get married."
Yeah.
So then you guys steal the car and you guys go in, and the president's kind of just sitting there, and you start talking to him, and he's like talking to you really strangely. Like I don't know how to translate it, but it's like he'll be talking
No,
like
yeah.
this. Like his
Yeah.
words are all fucking weird, and then he like becomes this weird thing as you fight him. And once you take down his health, you have to fight him. And once you take down his health enough, he like transforms into what it's called a Gorgorith or something like that.
It was like a Garo Garo.
It's this big hulking monstrosity
It's like
looking
it's essentially like a
zombie.
sludge zombie because he can curse you, hit you with zombie, and then I think there's one other effect he can do too.
Yeah. It's a good opportunity to draw some status magic from him, but other than that, just fuck him up. And
Yeah, he can be a bitch though if you don't have things like protect and shell and things like that because he can hit you with some status effects that disable you from using your GF or your items or magic, and he can drive you into like berserk where you just attack without your turn just essentially skips and all you do is attack. Like,
well, fun fact, and I'm sure you already know this, but as soon as he spawns, you can just hit him with a fucking phoenix down, and he dies.
yeah,
Like any undead enemy in the game, if you hit him with a phoenix down, it just kills him,
yeah,
which is fantastic. But I usually avoid that just to try to draw some magic from it.
yeah,
But if you're trying to speed run, dude, just hit that motherfucker with like a high potion or something, and he'll be done for.
yeah,
So you make your way past there. You have to go back to Timber, and there are guards everywhere looking for you guys now. So you
yeah,
sneak
because
in.
everyone knows about the kidnapping attempt.
Yeah. So you sneak into this lady's house, who is apparently like this old. I to me, she seemed like an old, rough and tough Italian lady. That's what she reminded me of. Like she had a pot of sauce in the kitchen, and those cops come up the door, and she was like,
She
"Listen,
is definitely that old maternal, like mob gang style something, whether like Italian or Irish or like Eastern European. She's seen some shit. She's been through some shit,
yeah."
and she'll fuck you up if you cross her. Like,
So she tells you to head down. There's a cut through behind the pub to get to the TV station, which is where you guys need to make your way to.
yeah,
And you go down to the pub and you fight these two guards that are out there, and you get I think it's a Buell card
yeah,
from. And you go inside, and you need to get through the door, but there's like this wasted guy sitting up on the door just talking shit to everybody. And you go up to him, and he's like, "Those damn guards
yeah.
took my card."
I'm really drunk and I'm not gonna move because somebody stole my card.
So you're like, "Oh, you mean this one?" And he's like, "Oh, you're so nice. You can keep it, and here's another one."
Yeah, I'm so drunk. I'm gonna give you another card.
So he's like, "Bartender, help me." So the guy like helps him out of the way of the door. He doesn't ever get up. He just slides.
Yeah,
over.
yeah. The owner just drags his ass out from front of the door, and I'm like, did we really have to do the whole card scenario? Squall or Zell could have just like fucking threw him across the room.
Yeah, right. So you head out and you go up through the little like alleyway,
The
up these
alleyway.
stairs, and the screen comes on, and you guys are standing there, and they're like, "Oh shit!" And the guy comes on, and he's like, "This is a tremendous moment. We haven't broadcast in like 16 years or 20 years, whatever it
Yeah,
was."
it's a long period of time. It's like 12 or 15 years or something like that.
And he introduces the president, and the president comes on, and he's talking about the sorceress and all this stuff, and then all of a sudden, Cypher comes in out of nowhere
Fucking
and just like,
douche.
swipes his gunblade at him and like grabs him and everything. And Quistis is there like, "Fucking stop!" And she looks at the screen and she's like,
Cypher, no swiping.
she's like, "C team, if you're out there, I need you to get here right now. You have my permission. Get here right now."
Yeah.
So at this point, right before this had happened, this is where Squall goes the fuck off on Renoa and makes her leave. And as she's running away, like probably crying, Sylphie comes walking up like, "The fuck's her problem?"
Yeah.
And then joins your party. So then you three head to the TV station where you find that Cypher has the president fucking like around the neck,
by
with
the
his-
throat,
with his-
yeah, with his gun blade, being typical fucking douchebag Cypher. Right.
and y'all are all trying to talk him off a ledge, and Zell's dumbass lets slip that y'all are from Garden. And the president's like, "Oh, you're from Garden? Oh, if anything happens to me, I will level every garden. Like, I will have every garden level."
Yeah.
As Cypher's like, nice going, chicken wuss. Cypher reminds me of Biff.
He is.
You know what
He's
I'm saying? Like, he is the Biff of
he
this game.
is. He is.
So, I believe this is where you don't have to fight Cypher, but you go into the other room chasing after him, and this is where time freezes.
Yeah.
And Cypher's like, what the fuck is going on? And this portal opens, and the sorceress, Adia, comes walking out and basically offers Cypher to be her right hand. And he is like, fuck yeah, because he's a psycho.
Yeah.
So he wanders away with them, and Squall and them are all just kind of sitting there, can't move, but they're watching this happen. And I do believe from there, you guys are to report to the nearest garden, which is Galabadia Garden.
Yeah.
So you hop on a train, and on this train ride this is where your first like introduction to Laguna. You guys are riding on the train, and Selfie starts complaining about being really tired, and then she just falls the fuck over. And then Zell is like, oh man, me too, and then just falls the fuck over. And then you hear this really high-pitched noise come into your screen, and Squall grabs his head, and he's like, what the hell is going on? And then he falls.
This playthrough, I had to make a joke about it. Grabs his head. I had to do the whole Harry Potter, my scar.
It's Voldemort. So you wake up, and this is kind of strange because there's text boxes, but they're kind of grayed out, and the ones that are grayed out are thoughts that are happening from Zell, Selfie, and Squall.
Yeah, they're internal, like subconscious thoughts. While they are witnessing something else in their dreams, they're still conscious.
Yeah. So I believe in my game it was, and I think it is this for everybody, is that Squall, his junctions and stuff go to Laguna.
Yep.
Kyros is Zell.
It depends on where you have your party. If you have, I think Squall will always be Laguna, but if you have like Selfie in that first spot in the top when you form your party, she'll get Kyros. Okay. It all depends on where your party goes.
Okay, well that makes sense. So, but for mine, it's always Kyros is Zell and Ward is Selfie.
Yeah.
Which later on, that swaps because Zell is Ward in the prison. But anyway, we'll get there.
Yeah.
So you guys have to, I believe that's just where you run around. You end up going to Delling City and going to the hotel. Yeah, that's it. I think you go see Julia perform.
Yeah.
And the guys are like, Laguna, why don't you go talk to her? Why don't you go talk to her, man? Like, you dig her, go talk to her. So like Laguna goes walking up there, and instead of getting stomach pains, he's like, oh, my leg. His leg cramps up.
Yeah.
Back to a table, and Ward's like, well executed.
Yeah.
It made me think of Letterkenny. It was like, nice job, you're doing terrific.
Yeah. Gets the leg cramp and he limps around for everyone to see in the middle of the bar, and comes back and they're like, smooth. Like, I'm sure you definitely got her attention with that.
So they're talking, and Ward perks up and he's like, hey Laguna, we'll catch you later, man. And him and Kyros leave, and Laguna's like, what? We just got here. What the hell? And then Julia comes walking up. So Laguna starts freaking out, scoots over, and they have a little conversation. You know, she says, asks him, do you want to come up to her room? He's like, yeah, sure.
Yeah. He's madly in love with her, so he's like, yeah, I'll do it. Without realizing that everyone in the room is literally standing like 5 feet away from them watching their conversation.
Yeah. So you go up to the hotel guy after talking with Kyros on board again, and Laguna can't form anything. He's like, I need. And the guy's like, oh, Mr. Laguna, I've been expecting you. Here's the key to Miss Julia's room. Thank you. So you go up there and you guys start talking, and Laguna loosens up apparently because he just talks and talks and talks, and then it does like a fade in, fade out, and then a fade in, and he's still talking.
Yeah, it's that wine.
So he finally asks her like what she's been doing. She says she wants to sing, but she's never been able to write lyrics. But she thinks that she will be able to write lyrics now because of
He inspires her.
uh, like she sees something in his eyes.
Yeah.
Which goes back to there is only one song in this game that has lyrics, and it is done by a pop singer, and it's called "Eyes on Me," and it is the song that supposedly Julia wrote about Laguna.
Isn't it the first Final Fantasy game to have a track with lyrics?
I believe that. I believe that's what Wiki said. I don't know. That seems so long ago in this recording. I have no
Yeah.
idea. uh, so you basically. I lost my train of thought again. God damn it.
Dream sequence is like over.
Thank you.
You meet Laguna and you meet his like pals, whatever. You wake up and
Those are all basically. They're basically like, we have no way to understand what the fuck just happened, so let's just forget about it for now.
yeah.
And you guys get to Galabadia Garden. You go in. You have to talk to. Well, you have to all go into this room, and you're standing in there, kind of waiting to be briefed and everything. And Quistis is going to talk to the headmaster.
Yeah.
Because she knows him. She's been here before.
Yeah.
So she comes into the room. Is like, Cypher was tried and executed. Like his sentence has been carried out. He's fucking dead. So everybody's like, oh shit. And they're all kind of like talking in the past, which makes Squall have an absolute fucking emo breakdown where he's like, is this how they're going to talk about me when I die? It's not going to happen. None of you will talk about me like this when I die. Ah! And he runs out the room. And you didn't go exploring by yourself as him.
No.
You'll randomly see Zell doing push-ups like in the hallway and shit.
Of course he is, because he can't have his hoverboard. Like,
So there's an announcement over the... Or no, I'm sorry. You come running out and you see Fujin and Raijin. And they come running up to you and they're just like, man, there's no way Cypher's dead. He would never put up with being in court.
yeah.
It didn't happen. They're like, we're going to go find them. So they fuck off. And then this overcom thing says, seed members from Balam meet at the gate. So you go running towards the gate. You see Quistis. And she's like, hey, we have a mission. So I was like, all right. So you go to the front. You wait for the president of the headmaster of Galabadia Garden to come out there. And he gives you your new mission, which is to assassinate the sorceress.
Yeah.
And Squall's like, all right, how the fuck are we going to do that? None of us are a sharpshooter. They're like, well, we have the perfect guy. And this is where you meet Irvine. And what a fucking character Irvine.
Yeah, Irvine's wild.
He cracks me up, dude. He just wants to be loved, but it seems like he just doesn't know how to go about it at all. But Renoa, we're destined to be together. And then you go in the next room, he's like, but Selfie, we're destined to be together. So anyway, he's a sharpshooter, and he's your sniper, and he joins your party, and the guy's like, all right, so you guys got to go to Delling City. You'll be briefed by the general there, yada, yada, yada. So Squall's like, all right, well, we need to come up with parties, and Irvine's like, all right, I know. And he makes a party with, like, him, Selfie, and Renoa, and then it's like, Squall, Zell, and Quist, and he's like, how about this? I was like, no. So I always put Irvine and Zell in my party at that point. That way Irvine's stuck with two dudes, and I send the girls off by themselves. That way they can get away from them. And you go to Delling City, and this is nearing the end of quote-unquote Disc 1, and basically you go to the general's house, and the guard out front's like, yeah, you can't come in yet. You have to go prove yourself. So I was like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
For real? The guy's like, no, yeah, you have to go to the Tomb of the Unknown King, find this sword, and give me the code off of it. All right. So this is another missable GF point.
Yeah.
So you go into the Tomb of the Unknown King, you get the code or whatever, but then there's a couple puzzles that you solve in there. And I won't go into the details of trying to solve it because it's a lot of just turning left and right. But you have to kind of think about how it's laid out and what direction you're facing when you're going through. But basically you open these two different water valve type things, and it lowers a bridge to the center. But on your way to do that, you run into Sacred.
Mm-hmm.
And Sacred is this big, like, minotaur looking thing, and he's really easy. I literally hit him one time with Squall and critted with the trigger shot
Yeah.
and one shot it. And he was like, "I'm gonna go get my brother. You guys fucking suck." So he fucks off, and you go running around more. You finish the little puzzle. It opens up this place in the middle. You go in the middle, and Sacred's standing there on top of a uh, sarcophagus, I guess it is,
Yeah.
like a tomb, and he summons his brother, his big brother. He's gonna get his big brother to kick your ass. So it summons. It looks like this giant fucking minotaur, and then it's like shows him, and he's about 4 foot tall,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Little bro, or big bro, these bastards have been making fun of me." And he's like, "What? Nobody makes fun of my little brother. I'm gonna kick your ass." So you have to fight him. Now, this fight, it's very helpful to cast float on
Yeah.
them because they heal as long as their feet are touching the ground,
Yeah.
which can be a pain in the dick if you haven't done some leveling and junctioning and things like that. Like if you really still haven't figured out junctioning, you could have an issue in this fight
Yeah.
because they hit pretty hard too. But once you beat them, they join you because you're super strong. So you then have another GF. They're called the Brothers, and their summon animation always cracks me up because they play rock paper scissors, and the big one loses every time. And they throw a big hunk of earth in the sky, and the little one grabs the big one and throws the big one into the air, and he smashes into the fucking rocks, and everybody comes falling to the ground. But it makes me laugh every time that the big one, the face he makes when he loses the game
Yeah.
of rock paper scissors is just hysterical. So you make your way back, you give the guard the code. Let me in this motherfucker, please. You go in. The general comes in, he gives you the rundown of everything, and this is where it's revealed that the general of Delling City is Renoa's dad.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, your daughter's in a resistance force against you. Doesn't that cause issues? And he's like, yes, it does, but that's our family problems and none of your fucking concerns, so. And he goes and he leads you around, shows you everything you need to do. Quistis freaks the fuck out on Renoa, chews her out, and they leave her sitting in the room. So Squall and Irvine go to the spot that they need to be in for the assassination to wait in the crowd, and Quistis, Zell, and Sophie are up in the tower where they need to be to shut the gates. And Quistis, for some fucking reason, there's like 5 minutes until all the stars, she comes running out, and she's like, I feel bad. I'm gonna go apologize to Renoa. And it's like, really, this can't wait till after we kill this bitch?
I know. It's like worst timing ever. Like,
so they go running back to apologize, and Renoa realizes that her dad is going to lock her in this room. So she goes running out. So Quistis, Zell, and Sophie go running in, and the door locks. They can't get out. They're stuck in this fucking room. It's like, oh, see, that's what you get for not waiting. That's what you get. So you have to figure out how to get out. And when I was younger, this took me forever.
yeah.
But now that I know what to do, it takes like 10 seconds. It's like you run over, you pick up this glass of wine, and then you run to the corner where there's the statue, and you put the glass of wine in the statue's hands, and then it opens up to a secret passage.
Yeah.
So you go through the secret passage into the sewers, and then that's your whole part there. It's like you running, playing through the sewers, and then you take over a Squall, and I believe this is where you see the cutscene with Renoa, who has that anti-magic bangle thing that she's trying to give the sorceress.
Yeah.
And she goes walking in there, and she's like, I have a gift for you. And the sorceress like holds up her hand and like does something, and Renoa just lifts up into the fucking air and just gets thrown around. And there's this cool cutscene where it shows the sorceress, and like her face mask comes back and shows that she's actually like this really pretty lady, and her like this long hair like sucks up and makes it like a normal haircut. It's a really cool looking scene. And she gets up to go out and give this speech, and the speech is hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, she just walks up to the microphone. She's basically like, you're all fucking idiots. I'm going to kill all of you, and you voted me into power. Like, what the fuck can you do about it? Nothing. You know? And the dude standing there with her is like, sorceress, do you feel okay? Because this is not normally how this sorceress acts. This is where you kind of start getting that there's something going on with her. And she does some magic and like throws that guy down, and then she brings Renoa out there with her, and then she summons she makes the two statues come alive to come down to try to attack Renoa. So Squall and Irvine see this, they go run to save her. So as you're running up there, you have to climb up some boxes and this type of thing, and you go in and you fight these two things, and they're not that bad. Like they can hit pretty hard, but
Yeah.
it's not too
Again,
bad
at
of a
this
fight.
point, it's all like how you junction. Like,
Yep, yeah, totally. And that's a lot of this game is
learning
how
that
you function.
junction system and getting
Absolutely.
getting used to it. Like, it's possible to play this game through without figuring out the junction system, but you're going to be very weak and it's going to be very hard. But the
Yeah,
sooner you learn that junction system, the easier this game gets.
totally, totally. So at that point, once you beat them, you take back over as the crew in the sewer, and you
Mhm.
run through the rest of the sewer, kind of hopping on these big wheel turn style things and riding them around. You get through, you end up coming up the ladder in the place you need to be. So then you just get back on the ladder, go up, and you hit the button right on time, like right in the nick of time. You hit the button, and it shuts the sorcerer in or sorceress into the big gate.
Yeah.
Now, had Renoa successfully given the sorceress that bangle, she'd be dead and the game would be over right now.
Yeah.
Because Irvine takes the shot. By the way, Irvine is freaking the fuck out. He is like having like, I can't do this. He's like getting nerves. His nerves are getting to him. Squall's like, even if you miss, just think of it as you're giving us a signal. If you miss, that's our order to go in and fight. It's all good. Just take the fucking shot.
Yeah.
Just take the fucking shot. Irvine's like, just a signal? All right. And he gets up and his aim was perfect. Like he fires, but Adia throws up that protect like instantly, and the bullet just falls to the ground.
Yeah.
Squall's like, you did good, man. Now we gotta go kill this bitch. So Squall jumps down, runs in there, and this is where you have a one-on-one with Cypher. And I don't know about you, I one-shot at Cypher.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah, he's not fucking hard at all.
No.
And then you fight Adia, who also is not hard compared to when you fight her later in the game.
Yeah.
So, you battle her, and then once you take her health all the way down, it goes to a cutscene where she throws a giant fucking ice spike straight through Squall's chest.
Hmm.
And he goes falling to the ground. Fucked up. Now, have you ever read the fan theory that the rest of this game is all happening inside of Squall's head as he's dying because he's actually that killed him?
Yeah. I read it, and
I thought that's an interesting theory, but
it's
I
an
don't
interesting
listen to
theory.
it.
But with as much as this game plays on like time loops and time like travel and shit like that, it's something that can be easily fixed. Like,
Yeah, yeah, totally. So I believe this is where you go into another scene with Laguna,
yeah,
and this is where he's living in the little town, Windhill.
yeah. I think we're
And
on disc 2 of
yes,
4 now. Yeah,
yeah, this is the beginning of disc 2.
yeah.
If you're going by the PlayStation
Yep.
version.
I'm
And
not. I think this is getting close to where I'm at in the game.
yeah, I was gonna say whenever we get to wherever you're at, we can call it there,
Yeah,
and then do more next week. But
yeah,
so you're in this town, and Laguna was brought here after the war. Oh, you know what? We missed a Laguna sequence. Now that I'm thinking about it, when you
oh
guys
yeah,
run,
the mining facility.
yeah, when you're running through a forest at some point, and you guys go into the dream world again,
Yeah,
and you take over. So at the end of that, Laguna,
that's on your way to the Galbadian Garden.
yeah, yeah, and that's right, because the first one happens when you're on your way to Timber.
Yeah,
And
first
then-
one's
and
on
then
the way to
Galbadian-
Timber, Galbadian Forest.
Yeah, okay, so I got that confused earlier.
Yeah,
So basically, oh, my fucking mind blanked again. Oh, so Laguna, after that, at the end of the Galabadian forest area, he gets fucked up. Kiros gets fucked up. Ward gets fucked up to the point he can't talk.
yeah,
Like, his throat's all fucking mangled. So apparently, he was brought to the town of Windhill after that, and Rain, the girl who runs the bar there, kind of fixed him up and made him healthy again. And so now he lives in this little town, and he basically just fights monsters every day. Like, that's his job. He's a monster hunter.
yeah,
And the little girl, Elone, I call her Elone. I don't know if it's Ellen, Elone, Elene. I don't know how to pronounce it.
yeah,
But we'll say Elene, because that just sounds cooler than Alone. So you could tell Laguna really, like, has feelings for this Rain chick and loves this little girl, and like he just wants them to be happy and stuff. And Kuros shows up. He's like, "Hey, I haven't seen you since all that shit went down." So they start catching up, and Kuros goes out on a monster hunting quest with Laguna, which is pretty funny because when you report back to Rain, eventually it keeps count. I was like, "Oh, I think I killed 18 monsters."
Yeah.
And she was like, "Wow, that's a lot." So you can totally do that without killing any. And you go back and you're like, "I killed 0 monsters," and Rain's like, "Really? Must have been a slow day, huh?"
Wow, that's a lot. Preset NPC response.
Yeah. So the whole scene plays out basically where the Kuros tells him that Ward got a job at this prison in Galabadia, and he's just asking Laguna basically like, "What's your future hold?" And Laguna's like, "I don't know, man. I don't want to lose what I have going on right now. I need to take a nap." So Laguna's like, "Please let me be here when I wake up," which was a weird thing to see. So he goes to sleep, and then you wake up again as Squall, and you're in like this containment thing, and Cypher comes in and he grabs you, and he's like, "Come on, you gotta fucking answer some questions." Squall's like, "What the fuck are you doing, man?" And Cypher's just being a dick, like throws him against the wall, and they take him and they hang him up on a torture device. Then it switches over to Selfie, Quistis, and Zell, and Zell kind of wakes up, and Selfie's like, "Were you in the dream world again?" "Yeah, I was Ward," and he was like working in a prison that it was just crazy. So a little bit later, they're trying to figure out where they are and everything. And Selfie's like, "Didn't you say that Ward worked at a prison?" And Zell's like, "Yeah, he did." He's like, "Wait a minute. Oh shit, it was this prison." And so Zell just jumps up and he's like, "Fuck yeah, I know where we're at." So they need to get the weapons back. And Zell's like, "Well, my weapons are my fists. I'll go get them." So you take over his...
Of course. I've got my mitts.
So they trick a guard to come in. He just like knocks the shit out of the guard.
Yeah.
And and the Moomba that comes in and brings you food, he trips and drops the tray. When the guard is shouting at the Moomba, you have the choice to stand up for it or not. And if you stand up for it, then later on, there will be Moombas to help save Squall. So you run and get your weapons. I think it's 2 floors up. And then you go and get the rest of the party. And then you take over as Squall again, and he's being tortured. And you have I just use the choices basically telling Cypher to go fuck himself.
Yeah, same.
I'm not going to tell you. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
And eventually you get saved by the Moombas, and they keep calling Squall Laguna. They're like, "Laguna! Laguna!" And Zell's like, "I'm just going to follow these guys. I know who Laguna is. Like, so let's follow them." So they follow him all the way up to the top, and that's where you get Squall back, and there's this epic like escape from the prison itself, where eventually Irvine and Renoa come in. And apparently Irvine was sent there to get Renoa because her dad wanted her released. He was just going to get her and bring her back home, and she was like, "Fuck no, we're saving everybody."
Yeah.
Irvine's like, "Well, that's not what I was told." And she was like, "We are saving everyone." He's like, "All right, let's just go." So he ends up holding people off with a gun while you guys run away. There's that cool scene where you're trying to get across the big walkway to run out, and it's sinking, and all the floor panels go away, so Squall's like shimmying across, and if you don't get across, time's game over.
Yeah.
Wild shit. But you escape there, and there's talks that Galabadian army is shooting missiles at Balam Garden and Trabia Garden.
Yeah.
And the missiles, you guys are standing there, and Selfie's like, "We need to do something," and the missiles you see go off in the distance and start flying through the air, and Irvine's like, ... "I heard they were hitting Trabia Garden first." To which that's where Selfie's from, is Trabia Garden. So she drops to her knees and she's upset. And then if you try to talk to anybody, they're all like, "You should go talk to Selfie."
This is where I'm at on this current playthrough.
Yeah. Okay, so we can wrap it there.
Yeah.
We'll remember that it. So to finish off this one little section, you talk to Selfie, and she's basically just like upset.
Yeah.
And wants to go figure things out. So you need to choose between who is going to go back to Garden to check on the garden, and who is going to the missile station to try to stop the missiles from firing towards Bala.
Yeah.
And you choose your party and you go for that. But we'll leave that until next time.
Yeah.
But man, I'm telling you, like going back to this game, it's such a good nostalgia bomb. It feels
For
so
sure,
nice.
for sure. Like, played this game dozens and dozens of times, and it just never gets old for me. It really doesn't.
Absolutely. So I'm thinking that we'll probably get one more episode in of doing disc 2 and 3, and then maybe we'll save the
We'll
end
save
for
we'll save disc 4 for the finale.
yeah, and then we can that'll be the episode we can have James from the JRPG report join us and do an overview and talk about the end of the game and all
Yep,
that good shit.
yep. We can have him guest on it, and that'll be the episode we announce our giveaway winner.
Yep. Which we've gotten a couple new entries into that.
Yeah,
So
that's good. That's good.
looking good. It's looking good. Well, I think that's gonna do it for this week's Steam Machine podcast. We don't have to bother Steamy this week, so there's nothing else that you'd like to say, brother. Then he's Ryan, I'm Dalton, and as always, guys, take it easy.